Hello, everyone. This is your host, Carrie Logan at Master the Upper Rooms, and I am really excited today because I have a special guest. My special guest today is Katharine Giovanni, and she is a three-time award-winning bestseller author. She's a dynamic speaker, an advisor, and a forgiveness coach. And she is recognized as one of the original founders of the independent concierge industry. So, welcome, everyone. Katharine is here. How are you today, Katharine?
Well, thanks so much for having me, Carrie. I appreciate it.
So I didn't read, I listened to two of your books that are on Audible, the one about forgiveness and the other one about the little bird on your shoulder. Oh,
Hmm.
fabulous, fabulous books. Um, One of them that I just wanted to say that I thought was really interesting that lines up with what I teach, Mastery the Upper Rooms, is when you were coaching that one woman about how to increase her sales, concierge sales.
Oh,
And
yeah.
yes, and what you did was really cool because you guys got stuck down in frustration. And when you took that break and you went back to neutrality and you calmed down, that's where all the 4D tools are. And you thought of, oh, these are the options, these are the solutions. And you found them, which
Yeah.
was really, really cool. And you share how you found those solutions. So why don't you share with everyone just kind of briefly so they understand what I'm talking about, that little scenario.
I used to teach people, I've retired from the industry at this point, but I used to teach people how to start an independent concierge business. And it's just like a hotel concierge, except they're bringing it to mainstream America. So somebody hired me for a private session and we got to the fee setting part. And she said, well, this is the part I really need help with. And I said, okay, so what do you charge? She said, $5. I said, for what? She said, everything. And I said, let me get this straight. You're running errands for people and you're doing weddings and all these things, and you're just charging $5. She said, yeah. And I looked at her and I thought in my head, I said, this is easy because we'll raise our prices. And I said, well, you just have to raise your prices. She said, I don't want to. And I said, excuse me? She said, I don't want to. And I said, okay, back up. She said, listen, I bought this business from my boss. She sold it to me for a really cheap price. And I said, was she making any money? She said, no, because that's why I got it so cheap. And I said, but you have to raise your prices. She said, everybody in the building where I'm a concierge in the lobby is used to paying $5. They won't pay any additional money. And I said, okay, well then why don't we get you additional buildings where you can set up your shop? So instead of having one building, you can have more than one. She said, no, I don't have the time. I am banging my head against the wall at this point. So I gave her a break. And we just had a break, but I needed the break because the way my gifts work is sometimes I have to let it sit in my head. And I have to just walk away from the situation so I can get in tune with that still quiet voice inside my head, which I've been able to do since I was a child. And I kind of walked around the club that we were in, and when I came back, I had the answer. I said, "Why don't you charge $5 for every 15 minutes of service?" And she loved it. Now, we all know she's still learning birdseed, but at least it's more than $5 an hour. I mean, it was just the craziest situation ever. And she went off, and I lost track of her, but she did very well for a few years.
Yeah, and I mean, and that's the beautiful thing is thinking outside the box.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've really liked that story of how you calm down. So, and on the book about forgiveness, I really enjoyed the thoughts that people have of, well, if I forgive them, I let them off the hook.
Right.
Well, if I forgive them, that means what they did is okay. You know,
Right.
all those excuses. I thought it was really important to hear because a lot of people can be stuck, and that's what keeps us stuck. I call them, limiting beliefs. And so, how do you tell everyone, how do you forgive the unforgivable?
Well, first, everybody tells you that you have to forgive. Nobody teaches you how to forgive.
Yeah.
I teach the how. And also, what if you don't want to? Then what do you do? So, on a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being unforgivable dumpster fire and 1 being the easiest person in the world to forgive, everybody listening and watching to this broadcast right now is thinking of their number 10, the person that hurt you the most. And that's completely fair. And you may or may not want to forgive this person because it's unforgivable. Also fair. So, I'm the only one in the world that's going to tell you you don't have to forgive that person. Because there's a lot of people, places, and things, and I did say places and things that you can forgive before you even get to that dumpster fire. Now, a few things. Just because I forgive you doesn't mean I want a relationship with you. Probably don't. Just because I forgive you doesn't mean I'm giving you a pass and now all of a sudden you're correct. You're not. You're still wrong. You're still a dumpster fire. Forgiveness for me, and there's a reason why I call it a dumpster fire. There's the forgiveness for me simply means I want you out of my head. I want you out of my head. I want to stop thinking about you. I want to stop dreaming about you. When I think of a memory, I don't want to get mad anymore. That's what it means. And my system is designed to neutralize the memories. Because you've got these people in the planet who are saying, "Oh, forgive and you'll forget."
Right.
No. There might be one unicorn happy person on the planet living blissfully who can forgive and forget. I am not your girl. And I wrote the book on it. So what my system will do, it's going to neutralize the memory. So you can look at that person and look at that memory and there won't be any emotion there. That's what I'm looking for. So when you're dealing with the unforgivable, now remember, my system is I want you to start with the ones, the easy ones and work your way up to the hard ones. But if you want the unforgivable, sometimes yourself is the unforgivable. So why do I say a dumpster? Because you may or may not be able to forgive the person you're mad at, and it may not even be appropriate if it was something really horrific. So there's other things you can forgive. You can forgive yourself. You can forgive other things within that memory. So if you can't forgive your childhood bully from grammar school, you can. Einstein did prove that energy is neither created nor destroyed. It just transforms from one thing into another. He also correctly said that everything on our planet, including this microphone that I'm using, has energy around it. And
Yeah.
what nobody understands, the special sauce to the whole method, is nobody thinks to forgive the energy. So when I call it a dumpster fire, I want you to pull out other things in the memory if you can't forgive the person. Forgive the building, the energy around the building. Forgive the table, the bed, the chair. Forgive the day. Forgive the playground. Forgive the people who stood around and didn't help you, and the energy around all these things. And that's going to be just enough to allow yourself to move forward.
No, that was perfect because a lot of people don't forgive those things. They don't forgive the energy around it. And we
Nobody
are
does.
energetic beings. We are, and everything is energy and vibration.
Right.
And I forget what book that I read, but it was really fascinating where when I get up and I leave this chair, my imprint of my energy is still going to be on it for 10 minutes.
Sure it will.
Yeah, and a lot of people don't know that. I mean, that's a science. I forget how they figured that out. Um, and a lot of people, even like with plants, plants are alive. Plants have energy. When you berate and yell at a plant, it literally feels it. It knows that. And they did a whole scientific study about that. And when you send plants love and that's why when you
That's
talk to
right.
plants, you send it nice energy, they thrive. They're happy. You
I
know,
have a plant downstairs we call Grandpa, and he's 30 years old. There was a study done in Japan. It's called the Japanese Water Study,
oh
and it's
yes,
done by a guy named Masumoto something. I can't
yes.
remember its exact name. And he took several containers of water. One container of water he spoke beautiful, loving words to. The other container of water, hate, negativity, horrible, horrible words. Then he froze the water and he put it under a microscope. So the water he spoke horrible things to had these black and brown formations, nasty looking. And the water he spoke love to, beautiful crystal
Oh
kind of
yes.
formations. So why am I saying this? Your body's almost 98% water. So when people say anger is toxic, this is the how. I like teaching the how. You are literally, when your self-talk is negative and your anger and you're bitter and you're holding on to things, you're literally turning the cells in your body into sludge and it's going to make you sick. So when you forgive, even if you forgive the easy ones, it's going to actually start to change the water cells within your body, and you're going to start to feel better.
Yes, and they actually showed proof of that in What the Bleep Do We Know, where
Yeah,
Joe Dispenza was talking about the cells when you're, thinking those angry, hateful thoughts. The clip was of a woman looking in the mirror and she saw her thighs explode. And she started beating herself up, for fat shaming herself. And when she
right.
realized what she was doing, she then, stopped and took red lipstick and was drawing hearts all over herself and apologizing. Please forgive me for doing this. And I thought it was just a fabulous, fabulous movie, that or documentary that was created.
Your body listens to everything you say.
Yes. Yeah. Now, another thing I want people to get, and I know both of us know this, but do you have to forgive to a person face to face? And do you have to tell them?
No. I've been sober for 34 years. I got sober. The flashpoint in my life was probably when my mother died. And I realized that after she died, if I didn't clean up my act, I was going to probably follow her. So I cleaned up my act. And when you quit drinking, you have to you go into AA and all these recovery programs, and they tell you, well, you have to forgive and you have to make amends. And a lot of them want you to reach out to the people. Okay. I was born shy, like painfully shy, and I am an extroverted introvert now because I've taught myself over the years to overcome that. But back then, there was no reaching out to anybody, and if I knew they were mad at me, oh no, well, no, that's not going to happen at all. So my system is forgiveness is selfish. It's the ultimate selfish act. It's personal. You don't have to reach out to anybody. You do it for you. You never do it for them. They're probably walking around on the planet and they're having dinner and they're going to work and they're all happy. And that kind of makes everybody mad because you want them to be as miserable as you are, but they're not. They don't care. They're not
Yep.
thinking about you ever.
Ever.
So you forgive for you. You forgive because you want them out of your head. Now, let me be clear. You can forgive dead people
Yes.
because it doesn't matter where they are or they're not. If they're living in your head, you can forgive it. And you could forgive the memories inside your head. I had a dysfunctional start to my life. My childhood was filled with alcoholism, and I tried to commit suicide in the eighth grade, and on and on and on it went. But I can look back now that I've forgiven my past. I can look back at my childhood and I can pick out the pockets of love that were there. Heck, I forgave 1974, the whole year. Why did I forgive 1974? Because it was a horrific year. My parents were both alcoholics. They were getting a horrible divorce with all those that comes with. I was getting bullied in school and I tried to commit suicide. So I did pick out the memories because I do practice what I preach. I pick out the memories. I used to say I drink my own Kool-Aid, but I have to stop saying that because it's such a horrible reference. Please don't Google that. Now everybody's going to Google it. But I practice what I preach. It's a much nicer way to say that.
Yeah.
And I was able to pick out the memory and forgive all the pieces of the memory. And then I was finally able, I couldn't let it go. And I kept thinking about it. And I realized it's because I didn't forgive the time. I didn't forgive the date. So I forgave the energy around the entire thing. And then I was able to let the entire thing go. Forgiving the energy is the key to it all.
Yes, it is. And it's, to me, it's just amazing, amazing work what you're doing because that is a 4D tool, that all of us need to learn and all of us need to master. And and that's why I say you need to go within because you can
Yeah.
still stay stuck in blame. Well, it's his fault, it's her fault, it's that person's fault. But it's like the one that's suffering is you. That person's not having dinner and going, man, I really screwed Catherine over. That was a great time and night, and whatever year that was. They're not thinking that stuff. They're
No,
not,
they're not.
you're not even on their radar. You're not even a blip. you know?
And forgiveness energy is very powerful energy. It's like the law of gravity. It's going to work whether you think it's going to work or not. I can call the law of gravity the law of keeping Carrie on the planet. It doesn't care. It's going to still work. Okay, I don't believe in the law of gravity. It still doesn't care. It's still going to work. Then the law of the forgiveness energy is serious. Not only can it change your body molecules, but it's an actual energy that goes out. Here's a quick story. I forgave a level one friend of mine. Grew up with her. Don't even remember what we were mad at. And by one, I mean on my 10 scale from 1 to 10, she was a one. She was the easiest person I could think of to start the whole party with, right? So I sat in the middle of my bed and I remember, I kind of imagined her as she was when I was a kid, not the adult, the kid. And I said a few things because this is my party. And if I want to yell, I can. I was all alone in the room. So I kind of got it all out. And then my forgiveness mantra, you don't have to hold any crystals unless you want to. You don't have to dance around the room or sage it unless you want to, of course. Knock yourself out. It's a very simple poem because I'm a very simple soul. So I forgive the person, the energy around the person, forgive myself, the energy around myself, and then I forgive the energy around the whole thing. I hadn't spoken to this person in over 35, 40 years. That's how old I am. And 2 hours later, she calls me up on the phone. Almost fell out of my chair. But I'm a concierge by trade, so I pulled it together very fast. And so we said all the right noises and made all the right words and we reminisced and as people do. And we caught up and I'm a very curious little bear. And I said, after all these years, I have to know, why did you call me today? She said, it was the damnedest thing. 2 hours ago, which was at exactly when I was saying my forgiveness mantra, a figurine you gave me in school flew off my shelf, landed in the middle of my floor. I saw it and thought I should give you a call. We were 700 miles apart. So if forgiveness energy can change the molecules in your body and move a figurine 700 miles away on a level one person, can you imagine what it's going to do for you as you move into the higher numbers? And there's worksheets and stuff in the book as well. This is a life-changing thing, but remember, this is a marathon, not a sprint. When my friends and I first came up with this system, I went back and we all three of us we wanted to do it. So I got my list together of like 50 people and I said, this is going to be great. I'm going to be like a phoenix rising from the ashes. I'm going to be a butterfly. And tomorrow morning I'm going to wake up and everything's going to be great. Susie, sunshine, here I come. Didn't work out the way I wanted to. And I did forgive 50 people. And I spent the next 3 days in bed with what everybody thought was a stomach flu. Wasn't the stomach flu. Remember the Japanese water
Yeah.
experiment? The cells I was changing have to go someplace.
Yes.
The reason I want you to do it before you go to bed is because your body heals itself when you're sleeping. And if you do 10 people at a time, your body will be able to toss that. But if you do more than 10, you might not want to leave the house for a while because you're probably going to be in the bathroom for a little bit. And that's completely normal. You didn't eat any bad fish. It's just your body clearing stuff out. Most people get really tired. Some people
Yes.
feel their shoulders get really lighter and they forgive somebody and they know they've forgiven them because their shoulders kind of feel magically lighter. It's a little weird, but it's true. A lot of us, including me, get a pressure in their solar plexus. And for those who don't know, it's like it's above your belly button, kind of right in the middle there. And everybody's got a different thing, but you'll know you've forgiven if you can go on Facebook and you can look at the person's name and you don't care, you're done. You've forgiven them. If you can go to Thanksgiving or Christmas and you see the person you're mad at and you literally just don't care, they can push your buttons and you're just kind of laughing about it, you've forgiven them. That's how you know. You don't care. It's
Yeah.
neutral. And that's what
Yeah.
I'm looking for. I'm not looking to erase the memory. I'm just looking to erase the emotions from it. That's all I'm trying to do. But you're
Yeah.
not going to get a number 10 person down to a one overnight. It's going to take a minute. It's like an onion. I have so many people that call me up and email me and said it didn't work. I love it when they say that to me. Yeah, it did. You just forgave the first level. The brain is a stupendous, wonderful tool and it protects you. So as these traumatic events happen to you, your brain will put it in the back of your brain in a closet someplace. And as you peel back the layers of that onion, the brain will open some of those closets and you will start to remember things. Forgive them as they come out. Forgive what you can and just keep going.
Yeah, no, 100%, 100%. Because I did have a life experience myself where I forgave a family member that was, some people would consider a monster.
Yeah.
And I had to interact with them when my older brother passed away. And when I saw that person, I was like, "Hey, how you doing?" And I was all happy and joyful. And the person went over to my younger brother and was like, "What's wrong with her? Is she on drugs?"
Yes.
But
The
I was
same.
completely free. I was
Yeah.
completely free, and they couldn't trigger me, and they couldn't get my behavior, because I was just like, okay, let's do what we got to do here, and I was nice, and at the end of the visit, I actually gave the person a hug, and
Good for you.
I know, and it blew their mind. It really did,
I bet
and
it
then
did.
it was all gone, but what was interesting was when they said I'd like to have a relationship with you, I said sure, no problem. um and then they got mad about started bringing up the past, and I said, well, I've handed you the olive branch already. You're the one that gets to choose, because I'm totally fine, but if you want to stay stuck in anger and unforgiveness, that's your choice.
Exactly.
Yeah, and the person could not do the forgiveness, was still stuck in anger. And I was like, well, I still love you. And but I understand why we can't have a relationship, and that's totally fine.
They're going to be stuck in this lifetime. They won't move forward until
No.
not in this lifetime.
Yeah, no,
No.
and I knew that, and that's where I could have compassion and mercy and still unconditional love for that person, because I realize they're miserable inside and I'm no longer. I'm not anymore, but they are. And that's their choice. And I have a choice of how I want to feel, how I want to act, how I want to respond. And a lot of people kind of get confused, especially around the area of how forgiveness is and how amazing you feel when you totally get clear.
But
It's
it's
like a
also
breath of fresh air.
your story is a really amazing accounting of what's going to happen to many people listening and watching to this, because as you forgive, even with the ones, twos, and threes, you're going to start to feel better. Your
Yeah,
life is going to open up. You're going to start to pay attention. Why? For anybody who's listening to this, pop over to YouTube and watch the video, because I'm about to hold a coffee cup in front of my face. So when you first get angry, this cup represents anger and betrayal and resentment and grudges. But look at my body language. Real easy to keep it off to the side for the moment, right? But the longer I hold on to this glass, now I'm using two hands to hold the cup up because it's starting to invade my space. I'm starting to think about it. And if I still don't forgive, now the cup is right in front of my face. My life has stopped. I can't have a conversation with you without talking about the anger. It's all I can think of. It's consuming me and I'm missing opportunities. So as you forgive, you're going to notice things. You might notice your dream significant other. You might notice a new job opportunity. Why didn't you notice it before? Because you were too focused on the anger. Now, conversely, the people you live with like you the way you are. And as you move into a new person who's more joyful and more happy, the person they knew is no longer. So people will leave your life. And as
yeah,
Maya Angelou once said, when somebody shows you who they really are, believe them the first time. So as people walk away from you, please know that other people, like energy attracts like energy. So you might be in the hallway between doors for a little bit, but not forever, because pretty soon your people will find you. The people you were that match your vibrational energy will find you.
yeah, they will. So I want to switch gears really quick because I do want to talk about intuition, because
Yep.
Master the Upper Rooms is a spiritual, podcast. So how do people unlock their intuition? Because a lot of people are like, well, I want to be, have more intuition, or I want to be able to have, I hate the word psychic abilities.
I never use it. You'll never hear me use the word psychic because when you think of psychic, you think of a grifter who's going to take your money.
yeah,
And no disrespect to anybody who's using that particular terminology. It's just not for me. That's why you'll hear me say intuitive.
right,
I won't use the other word.
yeah,
Everybody on the planet is intuitive. We're born that way. Some of us were just born with the volume turned all the way up, but everybody can do this. You either see it, feel it, know it, or you just sense it. And if you feel it, you walk into a room and it just feels off and you're not sure why it feels off, it just does. Or you'll shake somebody's hand and it's just like, there's something not right here.
Yeah.
Or you'll hear some advice, sounds just like your own voice in your own mind. The little bird in my shoulder, I'm clairaudient, which means I hear things. I'm not schizophrenic. I don't need a straitjacket. I literally will hear the other side. And it said that little bird has saved my life 4 times and counting. Not that I'm paying attention to how many times it saved my life, but it's there to help you. Some people see the answer. If you can imagine your childhood bedroom in your minds right now, can you see the bed? Can you see the color of the walls? If you can, that's clairvoyance. Now, it doesn't mean it's a Stephen King thing and you're going to start to see ghosts. Probably not. What it means is you see the answer. You see it in movies. You see it in the written word. You see it around you. You pay attention. That's where you get your answers. Then there's the people who hear. I literally hear the answers. And then you get the people who just know it. One minute they don't know it, and the next minute they just do. And they usually get that mama voice. You know the mama voice. Everybody had mamas. When you got in trouble, she'd use that voice on you, and you knew you were in trouble. Everybody has that
And your
voice.
middle name.
Oh, you think your whole name came right out, didn't it? You knew you were in my world. You knew somebody was in trouble when you came home from school. My mother used to bake bread when she was mad because she could beat the dough. So you'd walk in the door, you'd smell this amazing bread, and you'd think, God, I hope she's not mad at me. Because you didn't know who she was mad at until you rounded the corner and just kind of peeked in to see if it was you. Usually it was my father, but there was that moment there, you kind of worried about it. The bread was phenomenal. But everybody's got this voice and everybody hears. Some of us have just been socialized since birth to not believe in it. You see your imaginary friends when you've been talked out of it. You probably did see an imaginary. You probably did see something. Everybody has it. I teach a lot of people to do guided writing to bring this out. So very quickly, go get a pen and paper. Unless you're a Gen Zer, you probably want your phone. That's fine. I don't really care what you use. I want you to be quiet, so I want you to turn off as much technology as you can. I want you to be left alone. No spouses, no dogs, no kids. Just be alone for a few minutes. Whatever words for, ask a question. Why is the sky blue? Is this for real? I actually don't care what you ask. Whatever you ask. Did Moses part the water? Whatever. I don't care. Write a question. And then whatever words form in your mind, write them down blind. If you don't get words and you see something, like you're daydreaming, you kind of see something in your head, write down what you see. If you all of a sudden smell something, write down what you smell. If you're feeling something, all of a sudden you feel joy, you feel cold, you feel this, you feel that, write down what you feel. And before you know it, you're going to be having a conversation with the other side.
You're 100% because when I sit down and I do my blog posts, I listen. Okay, what do you want me to talk about?
Right.
It's all about what do you, and they're the ones that pick out the title. They and sometimes I'm like going, where's this going? But then I get it. It's like they're taking me down this, rabbit
Yep.
hole.
I've
And
written 12 books, and every book I've ever written has been probably channeled by me. I kind of get into a zone when I write, and I have been known to just go into a fog, a kind of a haze when I'm writing, and then go back and reread what I've written. It's like, did I write that? That's pretty
yeah.
good. Because I often don't even remember it.
Yeah,
That's
I
what it
like
is.
to say it can be exhausting and exhilarating at the same time. Because it's
Yes.
like so much wisdom comes in. You're like, holy cow, yes, did this come from me? Because I channeled a book called Affirming and Focusing on Living a Better Life. And that experience was so cool because I woke up one morning and it was like, you're going to write a book, Carrie, and here's the table of contents. Go to your computer and boom, put it all out.
Yeah.
I was like, wow. And they're like, okay, now we're going to work on the first one. And there was times I remember, especially on the weekend, sometimes they'd wake me up early. They're like, okay, we want to talk about this. And I'd be like, I want to go back to sleep. No, I need to
Yeah, I've
sleep.
had that same conversation. Leave me
Oh,
alone.
and I would negotiate. Okay, I will get up and I will write it, but you need to give me energy throughout the rest of the day, or let me take a nap.
Yep.
Support me in taking a nap. And it did. And what just came out was like, holy cow, this is amazing. But they love to talk when I find for me, when everything is quiet and
Yep. It's that
and
small, still voice.
yes,
Exactly.
yeah, and I'm about to go to bed, and 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 sometimes even when I close my eyes, I will see this blue light, and then I will see fractals, and sometimes it's almost like a um, wormhole that I can. It's pretty amazing. I don't want to freak people out by sharing that, but oh no! And sometimes I even see faces, and I'll just listen to what it is, and I'll see lights. Sometimes I'll even see bright lights, and it's like they're all there, and they're just like, okay, let's talk. And sometimes the stuff is so profound that I'll even say, I'm not going to get up and write this down, but please help me remember this in the morning. I want to, um, you know, share this.
Some people talk to the other side in dreams. I've run into at
Yeah.
least a dozen what I call dreamers, and they have a dream and it comes true.
Oh, I've
So,
had that too.
yeah, so if you, I really do advise you have pen and paper by your bed. So if you wake up at 3 in the morning with a message, write it down. There's more to this world than what meets the eye. It's like this woman. I had a this was this now in my defense. This happened like 25 years ago because I'm 63. So I've had a lot of stuff happen to me over the years. And I was teaching this kid. She was a kid. She might have been 21, 22 maybe. And she kept saying she went to this very prestigious business school. I'm not going to say which one it was. Just let's just assume it was a very prestigious one. She must have said it 30 times in the first 2 hours. And I listened to her, and after the 30th time, I just looked at her and I said, "My condolences." Her jaw dropped all the way to the floor. And she said, "What are you talking about?" I said, "Because now you have to relearn everything that you were taught." Because they're teaching this 1950s kind of way of business, and I'm teaching a fifth dimensional way of
Yeah.
business, and it's two different things. So that's kind of what this is. What we're talking about is a brand new way of thinking, and it's a brand new way of doing business. Imagine if all the Fortune 500 companies allowed their employees to actually be intuitive, right? And everybody gets intuitive in a life-threatening moment, but you can do it when you're calm as well. I remember I am allergic to exercise. I have been most of my life. And all of a sudden, I kept hearing, you need to jog.
I
Not
remember that
exercise,
story. Yeah.
very specific. You need to run. Okay, no. My angels and my spirit guides are very used to me arguing with them. No, I'm not going to do it. Well, I couldn't get out of my head. And the thing about this kind of stuff is if they really want you to do something, you're not going to be able to toss it out of your head until you do it.
Right.
I often get messages for people and I have to call them because it's going to stay in my head until I deliver it. This was the
Exactly.
same kind of thing. So I found the Couch to 5K running program, brilliant program. If you need to exercise and you want to learn to run, that's the one. It's a really good program and it literally does what it says it does. So I eventually ran a 5K. This was in 2012. And the day before my birthday in May, I found a lump. And it was in a very strange spot. And so I went to the doctor, and it was stage 3 breast cancer. And I had found it just in time. And the surgeon said that if I hadn't taken up running and I hadn't lost all that weight, I'd be dead because mammograms didn't work in me and it was in a very strange spot. So the other side, the angels literally saved my life. That was the first time of many they've saved my life. But you don't have to wait until it's one of those life-threatening moments. Everybody can do this. It's just a matter of you paying attention. And if you've hit a wall and you don't think you have the abilities, Start forgiving people because anger acts as a brick wall.
Yes.
And if you want your true gifts to come through, you need to lose some of the anger because it's like that brick wall that all speakers talk about. And I'm not trying to bash speakers. It is what it is. But a lot of us will talk about that big wall and you will give you tools to break through your walls, that kind of thing. It's a very 1950s, 60s kind of analogy. Well, in my world, I want you to take a few bricks out of the wall, walk around the dumb thing, keep going, circle back when you can. And because forgiving the anger is going to allow you to be the person you came here to the planet to be. If you want to know what your purpose in life, what your special role is here on this earth, why am I here? This will help you figure that out. Lose some of the anger, and all of those gifts are going to come through.
I'm really happy you shared that because when I had my spiritual awakening and I was shown Master the Upper Rooms, a friend of mine talked about intuition and why it, was hard for certain people. And this person, yes, she had a lot of anger. And I told her, if you look at the chart, when you can, and there's a book that actually tells you about this that I later learned about. But when you get up to the very first energetic frequency of 200, which is courage, that is where you have more direct communication with your higher self and with your
Right.
angels and your guides. And the higher up you go, think about it, is that's at 5%. You then, next one up is 10, 15, 20, 30. So like you said, when we release all those, think about them as weights where they're stuffed in our pockets, all these
Oh,
rocks.
yeah.
When
It's
you
like
let
you're at the
all
bottom of
these
the ocean.
rocks go, you raise yourself up energetically and vibrationally so you're more aligned with your higher self, your true
Right.
purpose, why you are here. You have more direct communication with them because all that other stuff, it's like you're just stuck in the muck, in the dirt, and you've got to get it off of you.
It's like being at the bottom of the ocean. That's
Yes,
where the third dimension is. We're at the bottom of the ocean. And it's very hard for anything to get through because we're all the way down there. And
yes,
as you forgive and you lose the anger, you're going to slowly come up from the bottom of the ocean. And why are you all of a sudden able to hear the other side? And maybe you're tuning into your gifts because they can get through to you now. You're not at the bottom anymore. You're raising yourself up. So
yes.
also in many rooms, this is called shadow work. And when you say, I'm going to get spiritual and I'm going to start my journey, how do I say this with all the love in my heart? This journey is not for sissies.
Yeah.
When you start this journey, it's painful at times because we've been told since birth to ignore our negative feelings and put away the anger. And when I was a kid, I was taught, not to cry because I'll give you something to cry about, they would tell me. And I'm here to teach you. I want you to dive into those emotions and I want you to dive into that anger. And I'm only asking you to do it one more time so you can clear it and be free of it forever.
That's the important thing for everyone to really get is you're only being asked one time to do that.
That's right.
And to really, and it's like it can save you a lifetime. Because
It
that's the
can.
one thing that a lot of people, like, especially when I work with smokers, I tell them when they quit smoking that they're making a trade that is priceless because there's not enough money or any of that to give you more time of life. And
That's
it's a
right.
higher quality of life, the gift you're giving yourself.
This is something for you. I used to be a smoker too, so, but it's years and years and years ago. I haven't had a cigarette in 40 years, but this is a gift for you. Forgiveness is selfish. You do it for you. You don't do it for them. And let me give you an example. Let's say you're going, and I use the term Aunt Martha because I don't have a relative named Martha, which is why I call her Aunt Martha. Let's just be clear. So let's say you're going to Christmas and there's a big family table. and you're always sitting next to Aunt Martha or within earshot, and you've begged and pleaded and tried to bribe your way out of it, but you somehow always seem to be sitting next to Aunt Martha. This is a woman who drinks too much. She knows she loves to push people's buttons and she loves to start fights. We probably all have a relative like this. My mother used to say every family's the same, only the names are different. So we probably all have a relative like this, you know. So what I want you to do is I want you to start your forgiveness journey with Aunt Martha. And if you can't forgive Aunt Martha, and I'm pretty sure you won't be able to on the first try, I want you to pick out some of the things in the dumpster. I want you to pick out a Thanksgiving or a Christmas that was particularly horrible. And I want you to forgive the people around Aunt Martha, the other people at the table, their energy. I want you to actually forgive the table itself, the energy around the table. Forgive the turkey, the energy around the turkey. Forgive the chair you were sitting in and the energy around the chair. I'm as serious as I've ever been. And then if you can, try and forgive Aunt Martha. If you can't forgive Aunt Martha, then just forgive the energy around her.
Right.
Don't forgive Aunt Martha, just forgive the energy. And then move on to another memory, another Thanksgiving or another Christmas. Now, what's this going to do for you on Christmas Day when you show up at their house? It's not going to do anything for Aunt Martha. Nothing. She's still going to be as vitrolic as she was the last time. It's going to do everything for you because you're not going to care anymore. You're not going to feel as angry. You're probably going to be happier, which is going to piss her off, which is
I
going to make
know.
you happy. The happier you are, the more it's going to piss her off. Okay, this is getting fun now. See, you can do this with anybody. You can forgive politicians. You can forgive the Middle East. And the energy around the Middle East, what is that going to do for the Middle East? Not a darn thing, but it's going to do everything for you. If this is something that's irritating you, people, place, thing, a time, everything is forgivable. It's called shadow work, and it's not easy, but it's called shadow work. And the beauty of this is you're going to feel really good when it's done. But start with the ones, work your way up to the tens, because a ten or a bear. It took me a long time to forgive my parents. And it took some Simone Biles level mental gymnastics to get there, but I did it eventually. And give yourself a break, especially if you are your own number 10. Maybe you're the one that needs to be forgiven. Okay. How did I forgive myself? I compartmentalize. I can't pronounce this word. It's so embarrassing. Compartmentalized.
Realize.
Is that what she said? That word.
Compartmentalize.
Compartmentalized.
Yeah.
I took teenage Catherine as a separate entity outside of myself, and I looked at what she did. And I could forgive her because she created a life and a personality so she could survive. And she didn't have a lot of tools to work with yet because she was young. Then I
Yeah.
did the same for 20-year-old Catherine and 30-year-old Catherine. And as I went through the years, and I didn't do this all in one night, trust me, it took me weeks. But I went through the years, I was finally able to forgive myself. And that's kind of how I did it.
Yeah. No, I mean, when you say that, I know there's a 10 I still need to forgive. And I did a ton of forgiving on this one particular person. And then, I I got a flyer in the mail where this person is on the ballot to be the circuit court judge.
Ooh,
And this woman is a monster.
should not be a
Is
judge.
She's evil.
Hmm.
And I have my son and I have personal experience with this person. And when I saw it, my first reaction was, one, I hope she does a good damn job at it. But two, um, it made me really afraid for society as a
Yeah.
whole because I saw a different side of this person that probably a lot of people did not see. And when I even went to the Oregon State Bar with my husband and my son to file a substantiated complaint about her, they turned us away.
Well,
Literally,
that's where you start. You forgive the
yeah.
state bar and the energy around the state bar. You forgive the people who are voting for her and the energy around the people who are voting for her. You forgive the table or the desk where she's going to sit. You forgive the
Yeah.
gavel that she uses. See what I'm doing? I'm picking apart
Yes.
things out of that particular dumpster.
The
Where
whole
you get that
courthouse,
10,
the
you
whole
could probably get
courtroom.
it to
Yeah.
down to a 9, down to an 8. It's gonna take a minute.
Yeah. Yeah. But and yeah, because I could literally when I saw it, I was just like I could feel the anxiety, like, oh my
Yeah.
gosh. And and so yes, I will take that advice. Thank you.
And it's gonna free you up. I mean, even
Yes.
getting a 10 down to a 9, you're still really mad, but you got it to a 9.
Yeah.
See, I'm going to have you in the book. I'm going to have you, it is a system, a step-by-step system. And I'm going to, once you make your list, then I want you to rate everybody from 1 to 10. And you could have 6 number 5s. I don't care, everything. You can skip numbers, but I want everybody to have a number next to them, right? And what might happen is you might forgive a level 3 person and you forgive that first layer, and underneath there is some anger. This happened to a client of mine. And the person went from a number 3, she bumped it up to a 7. She's like, I'm more angry than I thought I was. And that happens.
Yeah.
So you raise the number and you put a 7 by it and you try it the next time, right? But this is going to free you up as you go through your list. It's going to start making you feel better, which is going to free up your life.
Yeah.
And after you say the mantra, I want you to check into your body. How do you feel? Are you still angry? Or do you feel better? And if you are still angry, what's the number now? Is it a 7 or did you get it down to a 6 or a 5? And if you're still angry, is there a part of your body where you can feel the anger? Check in with your body and see how it's feeling.
Yeah.
And then don't try it again right there. Wait 24 hours and do it again.
No, I fully agree. Well, and also doing the numbering is super, super important because it's
Mhm.
tuning in and checking in with you.
Right.
And it's I look at it is it's honoring you and seeing what's working and what's not working. And we are layers. We're like onions. You're just peeling back the layers, peeling it back until like what I did with that one person where I could see him and it didn't bug me at all.
Right.
It didn't bug me. Yeah.
That's what I'm going for. I want you to be able to see these people
Yeah.
either online in social media or in person, and it's not going to bother you at all.
Yeah.
And that's going to surprise you the most. The first time that happens, you're going to say, wait, that didn't bother me. I saw one of my relatives on Facebook the other day and it didn't bother me.
Yeah.
Shocker. I was thrilled. I
No,
was
it's
thrilled.
great work. It's amazing work. I fully support it and believe in it. And that was interesting because I sometimes I call it I psychoanalyze myself, where I was like, yeah, if I would have seen her, if it was just an advertisement for her business or her services of what she used to do, I would have been like, oh, good luck with that. And I would have just
Sure.
like, just let it go. But when I saw that it was something where she was going to be of service to humanity, that was my trigger. I mean,
Yeah.
and I needed to clear all that and just and I will do that. Thank you because I've been doing some of it, but I haven't done the energy around it. I haven't done her in that position. I did go on Facebook and ask everyone not to vote for her.
There you go.
I did.
Yeah. If you can't forgive her, forgive everything else.
Yeah, yeah.
And if you can never forgive her,
Oh, I
that's
never
fine too.
will. No.
No, but that's fine.
Yeah.
Some things in this world are 100%
Yes.
unforgivable, but
Yeah.
you can forgive yourself, the energy, and other things in the memories so you can keep going. But if the person itself is unforgivable, that's fine. There are people in this world that are unforgivable, and that's fine.
Yeah. No, and I realized that is yeah, I got to that conclusion, to that place because um and I do realize too that and this is gonna sound kind of weird, but maybe you'll when we when we release all of that, sometimes what the lessons they're supposed to learn come out.
Right?
Yeah.
Exactly right.
In what
So
they
you
call
might be a
karma.
catalyst.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I won't get into any of that, but I have experienced that as well. And because when I was doing a lot of forgiveness towards her and another person, because they were co-conspiring together, the other person's who was easier to forgive, the other person, their whole world came crashing down. Whole world. His wife
Oh,
left him, he lost his job. I mean, everything, and I was like, well, I completely forgave you. And because I really firmly believed, because of that, it set things free and allowed the universe to do what, it needed to do.
exactly. I've had the privilege of doing private sessions with a lot of cops. And what they tell me is sometimes they have to be somebody's karma,
Yeah,
and they're fine with that. And they can forgive themselves for that because karma, sometimes they are the karma, and they are 9 out of 10 of them are completely fine with that.
yeah, yeah,
It is what it is.
yeah. It is what it is. So before we end this, because I could talk to you for a long, long time, I could. I just to let everyone know, I am going to create a blog post with your information, the links to Audible, links to Amazon, for the books
Mhm.
that you have, your website, all social media, all that good stuff. But before say, just tell everyone where we can find your gifts, your books, your website, all the good stuff. Tell us.
Well, you could go to my website. It's katharinegiovanni.com. And thanks to my mother, my first name is spelled a little strangely. Thanks, Mom. Katharine Giovanni.com. You can also go to Amazon. I understand not everybody wants to read, so I have the audio book available as well as the paperback and the ebook. For both books, The Little Bird on Your Shoulder and my forgiveness book, both have audiobooks available.
Well, and I really liked in the forgiveness book, well, you had a lot of things to work on. And
Yeah,
that's
I have some
great.
sheets back there.
Yes, yeah, I thought that was awesome because a lot of times people sell that separately, but I thought it was really great that you included it for
No,
people.
it's in there. It's also on my website for people who really want it. A lot of people, a yellow pad of paper and a pen works just as good, but
Yeah.
there's a,
And she just froze, which is okay, and she's going to come back really soon. You
you
froze and
froze there for a minute.
I did, I know. But yes,
It's
you're
all
correct. Sometimes it is really good to write it down in the actual book because when I buy books, I highlight it. I
oh,
make
yeah, I do
notes
too.
all inside it.
I do too.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very hard. Usually call it my working copy. It's the one you can't give away because you've
Yeah.
dog-eared everything and underlined
Yeah.
things and that kind of thing. And this is the first book of three. The second book is probably going to concentrate a lot on forgiving yourself and the unforgivable, as well as some other stuff. And then the third book is going to be quite a wild ride. So look forward to that.
I look forward to that. Well, and also too, what I think is really cool is when I've made notes in books and I go back and look at it later, I'm like, whoa, I see how I have raised up, or I'm not
Oh, yeah.
stuck in that position anymore. And so it kind of validates that, hey, I'm finally free of this.
Yeah. And for the women out there, just as a last word before we click off, and this is to everybody, but mostly women, you are worthy enough to live a life of joy and happiness. It is your birthright. Everybody is allowed to live in joy and happiness. We're not meant to be here living in a refrigerator box on the street. That's not why we're here. This is your chance to live in joy and happiness and live the life you were always meant to live. Lose the anger and your whole world is going to open up for you.
Yep, 100%. Well, I am so happy to have you here, and I will. I'm going to make a list so when you have your second book come out, we can talk about that, and when you have the third
Oh
book
yeah.
come out, we can talk about that.
Happy to come back anytime.
That's great. Okay. Well, you, Catherine, have a fabulous rest of your day, and many, many blessings to you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Okay. All right. Bye.